So, today the Overture patch for Battlefield 5 has launched, and I've got some first look gameplay of the brand new Panzerstorm map. I've also, finally, gotten my hands on the patch notes as well, so I can round up all of the changes, all the important fixes into this video, so you're fully up to date. Now today this video is sponsored by Nvidia and their RTX 2080 Ti graphics card. The gameplay of Panzerstorm you're watching is in 4K, so really the best Battlefield 5 can look at the moment, and you can see the frame rate in the top left hand corner as well. We're pushing some serious frames on this new map. Big thanks to Nvidia for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. Now, of course, we know the update brings the new war story, The Last Tiger, this new multiplayer map, Panzerstorm, the practice range, which has now been confirmed to include multiple player support as well, vehicle cosmetic customization, a bunch more cosmetics, and 3 new weapons as well. With the gameplay in the background, you'll certainly get a sense for the huge scale of Panzerstorm. The map is absolutely gigantic, it's bigger than Hamada. The map features 7 tank spawns per team, multiple transport vehicles scattered across flag locations, and aerial gameplay is supported as well. Now the 3 flags across the middle of the map, C, D and E, those are the best places for infantry gunplay. It's quite a fun experience running between all of them. The rest of the map is really just open countryside, and you will be dominated by ground armor if you venture out there on your own without backup or a vehicle to protect you. So infantry players, if you're more geared towards that kind of playstyle, stick around C, D and E on this map and you should have a good time. The gaps between them are still quite large. There's not a huge amount of cover outside the flag zones, but between C and D specifically, there is kind of like a wooded area and there's a lot more cover there. That's why I'm saying if you want to play infantry on this map, stick along those 3 flags in the middle and you should be okay. Having said that though, the amount of tank spawns per team still concerns me just a little bit. This is a 64 player map and no doubt most players will want to be the driver or the main gunner in a tank. So with just 7 tanks per team across 64 players, that doesn't leave many players the opportunity to take hold of the power of these tanks and fight against multiple others on the enemy team. That said, the new gunner duck feature, where if you're on the main gunner position outside the tank, you can now duck down for cover. That does massively increase the appeal of taking the gunner seat. You actually have some cover that you didn't have before. I've played about 3 or 4 rounds of Panzerstorm now. At the moment, the game doesn't have like a 24/7 playlist for the map. If you want to join in on Conquest, join a server through the server browser that's currently on Rotterdam, and then Panzerstorm is the next map in the rotation, so you'll be able to play through a full round. If you try and join through the server browser directly onto Panzerstorm, at the moment you'll get straight into a queue, and you'll probably get into the game right at the end as people decide to leave the server. I've had some fun on the map so far, but it is definitely a vehicle player's heaven, this one. If you are planning to play infantry, as I said, stick in those 3 flags in the middle, but if you're purely about infantry gameplay, Panzerstorm is not going to be a map for you. Right, now it's time to move on to the patch notes. DICE has listed a bunch of top issue fixes and changes for us, so at a glance, you'll know if something obvious you've noticed or experienced during the game has been remedied with this patch. Let's start going through this list. First of all, weapon unlocks remaining locked despite having the right class rank to unlock them. That was really annoying bug. That's now been fixed. The vehicle passenger gunner positions will now sync up turret animations with where the player is aiming, rather than the gun staying in one place and your hands holding onto nothing and you just rotating with a crosshair in between them. That's now been fixed. The Conquest catch-up mechanic is being toned down. It's now only going to activate when a losing team is very far behind, and thus bringing the score closer and making for more exciting and tense finishes to matches that otherwise would have been just absolute steamrolls. Close matches, they won't be affected anymore. The amount of ammo given to airplanes with forward-firing machine guns and cannons is being lowered. The fast resupply of ammo means reducing the amount you start with will increase the impact of attrition on airplanes. The zoom in first person in planes is being increased to 2.5x to allow for better visibility at range. This means that you should be able to see the plane that you're shooting at you if it's over 100 meters in front of you. This actually goes hand in hand with DICE's rebalance of how airplanes receive damage and what it does to the hull of the plane. Damage from LMGs is being reduced and the health of engines is being buffed. This should mean that you have to aim more precisely for different body parts to get a plane disable, rather than just aiming for the entire body of the plane. The Ju-88 is getting its nerf as promised. It can now only carry one 1,000 kilogram bomb, and the rate of fire of the 16 500 kilogram bombs has been reduced to ensure the bombs have a larger spread when they hit the ground. This is a significant nerf to the Ju-88 against infantry players. Those 16 smaller bombs are a reduction from the 32 or 34 that you could have carried previous to the patch, so hopefully no more start of round insane bomber multi-kills anymore. That could get really frustrating on some of the smaller maps. As I said earlier, if you're using the top gunner position on a vehicle, you're now able to duck down and take cover inside the hatch if you're being shot at. You're still able to blind fire the machine gun as well, but of course, as you're hidden, you won't be able to see what you're shooting at, and you will become wildly inaccurate. The automatic spawn at the start of rounds, that's been disabled on all game modes except Final Stand. This means you have more time to adjust your loadout before spawning in manually, and you aren't left AFK standing still on the map, waiting to be killed by an enemy. The bomb icons in the airborne game mode are no longer visible. This is a change based on community feedback. The icon will be visible for a brief moment when the bomb is picked up by the attacking team, but it will disappear shortly afterwards. Infantry weapons have had their damage against airplanes reduced to a point where they will annoy a pilot, but they won't be able to outright destroy a plane with one magazine. MMGs like the MG42 are still great anti-air guns, however. Sustained fire on a plane will do significant damage. The Panzerfaust, for some reason, is being buffed by DICE. In my opinion, it was already very good against tanks, being able to disable turrets and tracks very easily, but DICE thought it needed a buff. You'll now be rewarded with greater damage on poorly angled shots, and effectiveness against different weak points of vehicles like turrets and tracks. That's been increased as well. I don't really think we needed this change, but we'll see what happens when the patch drops and people have played a few rounds and gotten used to it. And Frontlines is being returned to its Battlefield 1 version, removing the bombs and returning to MCOM stations. Those were your high-level changes, but there are further ones as well. I've gone through the detailed list, and I've picked out some things that I think are very important and that you should know about. Things for soldiers, weapons, the vehicles, the UI, and even more. So first of all, more spawn points have been added into the Conquest, Domination, and Breakthrough game modes on all maps. This means, I think, there's actually more tickets given to you so matches last a little bit longer, rather than spawn points being added to different flags. There was a conversation happening on Twitter earlier today about it. It's not 100% clear, but I think it just means that there are more tickets in certain game modes now. A tweak has been made to some of the metal beams on the Devastation map, so you won't get stuck on or behind them anymore. That's happened to me a few times. An icon to show if you killed somebody by a bullet traversing through a material has been added to the kill log, so now you're going to have some visibility if somebody was killed via bullet penetration. The smoke grenade launcher has been fixed so that it properly blocks spotting, including spotting via suppression. You're now able to disable enemy AT mines and dynamite by interacting with them when you play as a class that supports that function. This sounds really, really cool, but right now we don't know which class is able to disable these things, but I'd hazard a guess at the assault or support classes. Now, in general, SMGs are being buffed with increases to bullet velocity and reductions to bullet drag across the board. This should hopefully result in more consistent gunfights. All SMG 5-hit kill ranges have been increased by 5 meters from 25 to 30, giving them more power in close quarters gunfights. And the only nerf I can really find for SMGs is with the Tommy gun. Its max damage is being decreased from 30 to 25.1. That's to bring it into line with other SMGs. DICE found it was outperforming its closest rivals by quite a significant margin. You can rejoice because the KE7 is being nerfed, an increase to its horizontal recoil is being applied, it's having its recoil buffer specialization removed from the spec tree, and it's being replaced with quick aim, and a reduction in its reload time is also happening. Hopefully now the gun won't be the recoilless laser that it's been for the last few weeks. Throwing knives have been proven quite popular with the community so far in Battlefield 5, however having 6 of them always concerned me, and that appears to have gone across to DICE. They've been slightly nerfed, you now only get 2 of them when you spawn in, the maximum range has also been reduced from 13 to 6.5 meters, but the headshot multiplier for the throwing knives has been increased from 1 to 2, meaning no matter what the distance, if you land a headshot with a throwing knife, you're going to score a kill. Various fixes have been made to special assignments in the game. No detail has been provided, but I assume DICE is going to change some of the requirements for extremely hard ones, or at least get the text right on screen so the assignment matches what you're being told to do. We'll have to wait and see when the update arrives to see what they change. A new confirmation sound will play when you spot an enemy player or vehicle using the binoculars. That lets you know you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, and a new confirmation sound has been added for building fortifications as well, so you know when the fortification has been built. And lastly, DICE has implemented uniform vehicle aiming in the advanced control options screen. You can go ahead and activate that if you want to use it, but it's off by default. Now, there are plenty more items listed in the patch notes, including some very small specific changes for each platform, so if you want to read them, then I'll leave a link down below in the description for you. Overall, this sounds like a good first patch for the game, including plenty of new content like weapons, a map, another single-player story, and the practice range, but it has been somewhat marred by the small delay that we had. DICE needed to come out of the gate running and set a good example for the Tides of War support, but they kind of fell over at the first hurdle, which is disappointing. Certain details within the live stream as well, things like stating weapon unlocks will be time gated, so you have to unlock them by a certain time, didn't really go down well with the community, although now we know you can unlock those weapons later, but DICE hasn't said how you're going to do that, so we're still a little bit in the dark on that one, and the reveal of how much vehicle cosmetics are going to cost in company coin only exacerbated the issue of this patch being delayed. Overall, it's not been a great start to the live support for Battlefield 5, but we are now underway and the content's out there for us to play. So once you get home from work later, jump in, download the patch, give this stuff a go, and see whether you like it. Do let me know what you think of all of this down below in the comments section. Are you excited to jump in, or are you still not quite sure yet? Let me know down below. Thanks very much for watching today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications switched on. That way you won't miss any of my future Battlefield 5 videos. And as I've already said, thank you very much for watching. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.